All right, so now officially and properly, I'd like to say good morning and welcome everybody to this first amazing Genera event where we have the incredible Gary Horwitz. I would like to introduce Gary to you. Someone told me the other day, I called him a male ballabuster, and they said it's called a ballaboss. This is a man who I think does it all, really. I've been friends with him for probably 25 years, give or take, and I have eaten his food over the years, and between him and his wife Paula, who does the most amazing job behind the scenes and sets the most beautiful table you've ever seen in your life, they are quite the entertainment duo. So I feel very lucky, and I just want to tell Gary that your food really, I think you're probably one of the best cooks I know.
That makes me feel so good.
Truly, because you know why? Because his food is made with love always, and with joy and with passion. So let me give you a little bit of a background about Gary Horwitz, this man. So I call him a master cook and entertainer, and he grew up eating lokshen in Saxonwold. Is that how you say it?
Saxonwold?
Saxonwold, South Africa. And then he went on to slicing smoked salmon at the Swiss Deli.
It's true.
And then now he masterminds retail opportunities for Lendlease. So it's quite the journey. Grew up in South Africa. I said that with a bit of an accent. I didn't mean to. I actually didn't mean to.
Sounded good though.
He went to hotel school in Johannesburg, and then on to London, where he did a hotel management diploma, which is where some of your skills come from, I think.
Definitely, I definitely learned a few things.
And then at 19, he worked in the kitchen of a 2 Michelin star restaurant in London called The Capital. And he learnt the basics of cooking and working in an English kitchen. Then he immigrated in 1986 with his wife, Paula, who is a good friend of mine, and actually in one of our not in one of our cookbooks. Paula is a founding member of Monday Morning Cooking Club, and Gary is in that cookbooks. Paula's the important Monday Morning Cooking Club one here, sorry, Gaz.
That's okay.
And they together opened the Swiss Deli in Double Bay. And I'm sure many of you remember that back in the day. I remember it very well. And they made turkey and mayonnaise, tongue and pickles, salads by the dozen, cheesecakes, blintzes, roast beef, brisket, pesto and balsamic chicken, char-grilled vegetables, sun-dried tomatoes before anybody had ever heard of them, philos, pies, chopped liver, and biltong. You probably brought biltong to Australia, I would think. Did you?
Possibly at that stage we were one of the few manufacturers.
Nothing was brought in. They made it all in the kitchen. Today, Gary loves to cook, whatever his family and friends want to eat, and he's very good at that. Cooking's his greatest passion, and he is now also a proven retail entrepreneur. So he's gone from the base with retail concept, which grew to a national chain of 30 stores, to managing director of the Lendlease retail group, and that's quite a CV. And I just want to say how proud I am to welcome you today to Genera.
Thank you so much. I'm equally proud to be here, and lots of the people on this viewing, I'm happy to be here. This is what I love to do. If I could cook, and I say this to Lisa and lots of people, if I could cook every day for the rest of my life, I would be the happiest human being on earth. And it's an honor to be here with Lisa, what you've achieved through the Monday Morning Cooking Club.
Thanks,
how you've driven those books, and how you continue just to amaze me with your passion and your, keep it going, because life is about living.
All right, so now we're going to turn the show around, and now it's going to be about me. Is that right? No,
okay.
It's a joke. All right, enough about me. I just want to go back to when you were young. It's interesting, though, that he says that that you say you wish you were cooking all the time. Why aren't you? Why didn't you do that?
Funny enough, I think cooking is going to come much later for me, because I love challenges. And to be able to give it an opportunity through the last sort of 20 years of my life to start off in cooking and build businesses and build wholesale businesses and sell them. And then the last decade has been with Lendlease. And each time I've tried to escape. And I've tried to go back to doing what I love, which is cooking, where perhaps you don't earn as much money and you don't get as much reward for it, apart from in here.
Yeah.
Right? The money's never, ever as good as you can make everywhere. We all know that. But at the moment, I've loved the last 10 years with Lendlease, and I've spent the last year in San Francisco on the Google project. Now, that's coming to an end, and I'm ready to get back into my cooking life and do the things I really love. But that's the honest truth. It doesn't give you the same financial reward as other things I've done in my life.
Yeah.
I'll just turn my phone on.
It's always good to have your phone on, but that's all right. And I can already smell some things going on. He's going to cook. I'm going to let him tell you what he's going to cook today in just a minute, now that he's turned his phone off.
Yep.
So guys, let's go back to the beginning. So do you think your food, your inspiration for food and your love of food came from your grandfather, your pappy, or do you think it came from later on when you did hotel management and worked in a restaurant?
The Jewish side of it came from Nettie and Pappy and Saxon. I mean, the Friday nights, there were incredible. And the memories of that white tablecloth and the ivy on the table and the lokshen soup. I mean, the lokshen soup they made, I don't think I've ever tasted again. The chopped liver in those days was outstanding. So the Jewish side, definitely from them.
Yeah.
Okay. But apart from cooking Jewish food, they were useless in the kitchen. They couldn't even use a barbecue. And then the influence going to London and learning classic French cooking and English cooking and sauces and being in a kitchen with really starred Michelin chefs, that inspired me. And I suppose that gave me the platform so that I can cook anything. And I'm quite fortunate. I can go anywhere and taste anything, know what the ingredients are, and almost get it identical, apart from a few brilliant chefs around the world that I can never emulate. But yeah, I think it's a love for food, understanding the technicality behind every part of cooking. Because if you don't know how to grill, you don't know how to blend, you don't know how to chop correctly. You need all the skill sets, and then you got the plan.
Yeah, I get that. I remember when we went away once with them, and he just made a curry from scratch. Like, this was probably 15, 20 years ago, and I never even knew really what a curry is back in the day. And he just knew that you took your onion, your ginger, and whatever else, and he just did it. And I just stood there gobsmacked that someone could actually know. And we were young then, you know, we're not so young now, but we were young then, and he just has this now innate knowledge of so many things. And I should have added to his CV that he is an exceptional barbecuer. No, you are, really. And so how does it feel? Like, Base Swiss was an amazing thing. Like, how did that idea come up between you and Paula?
Well, the Swiss Deli came up when I got to Australia in 1986. The first job I took was as a waiter, because that's all I could do through my hotel school diploma. And I felt like it was a little bit beneath what I was qualified to do. So I took on a management role as a manager of the Colonial Diner, which, viewers, you should know, is 24 hours open. And I got a bit tired of that after about 2 months. Very tired.
Where was that?
On Anzac Parade, outside the football stadium.
Okay.
And then I saw an advert in the Sydney Morning Herald, which is our local newspaper, which said Swiss Deli for sale. I thought, that's interesting. Swiss, I love the cheeses, love the food. Let's go have a look. I walked in, and there were two Swiss school teachers there, Rolf and Peter, 1986. And they said, you come in to see the business, come inside, please come have a look. We came inside, and he said, you should buy this business. I said, well, I don't know enough about cheeses and cold cuts. He said, we'll stay on for 2 weeks. We'll teach you everything we know about cheese. We'll teach you everything we know about meat. And I fell in love with this little shop. It was a delicatessen. It just looked right. It just felt right. So I phoned up my dad. God bless you, old pops, the old cock as we call it. And I said, Dad, I want to buy this delicatessen. And that's how it started. And I think that was the first foray into understanding food, understanding retail, and I could cook because I've done hotel school. So I started cooking all the stuff in the deli. And that's how it started.
Amazing. Was Double Bay the first one?
No, Glebe was.
Oh,
yeah, I'll tell you, viewers, a really good story about my old man. It's a generous soul. We needed $80,000 to buy the Swiss Deli in Glebe. And I said to Dad, I need $80,000 to buy the business. And he said, that's fine. Take the 80,000, then give me back all the 80,000, and then we'll be 50-50 in the business. And I did it. And that was the lesson I learned. The old man wanted all his cash back. But, you know, that was the first one. Then Double Bay, and then we had, I don't know, a dozen or so delis.
And so how did you go from food, and then so then that turned into Base Swiss, which was furniture and food, right? Or lifestyle and food. Is that what it was?
It was, because I loved food, and I could have continued just doing food and delis. But Paula, God bless her, loves homewares. She's got this love and this talent for buying and seeing. And she would walk into Crate and Barrel in America and buy off the shop, and Pottery Barn, and, you know, go to Habitat or the Terence Conran shop. And she's got an eye for colors and plates and putting stuff together. And she said, well, you know, why can't we do a bit of homewares and stuff? So on a trip to Bali, we started sourcing homewares. We called it Batik. So we had Swiss Deli and Batik. And Batik ran for about a year. And then this developer came to us in 1999 and said, would you want to open a Swiss Deli at this new development at Fox Studios? I said, no, we've got a Swiss Deli in Double Bay. Well, what about a Batik? I said, no, we've got another Batik around the corner from Fox Studios at Oxford Street. So he said, why don't you combine the two? And that's how the story happened.
That was it.
We went to America. We looked at all the concepts that were out there, and no one really had combined food and homewares. And we thought this would be amazing. So we put the deli down one side, all the furniture down the middle. Paula picked all the homewares. You know, traveled through India and China in those days, and that was just magic. It opened up. It was just fantastic.
And how many years was that?
That went for about 5 years. We opened 30 stores.
Amazing.
And a public company came along and said, we want to buy you out. And my good wife and I, we had lots of arguments about this because this was Paula's baby. And I just saw for the first time we could get some money out of the business. And, you know, the dream was to buy our own family home in those days. We've just seen a gardener coming into the kitchen with a big chainsaw. I might have to tell him to calm down. I'm going to leave you for 1 sec.
Yeah, he's about to start.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just need, so I'm going to tell you what Gary's going to cook today. And I can smell there's oil frying. He's going to make chips, which we're always happy to eat. He's also going to make a crumbed veal cutlet with an amazing lemon butter sauce, which I'm really looking forward to eating. And I think he's going to do just a veal, like a veal limon, so not crumbed. So you've got two options with your veal. Okay, back to you, Gary.
Yes,
what were we saying?
We were talking about the base Swiss.
Amazing. So you grew it from nothing. Oh yeah, public company and the argument.
And that argument with Paul and I, in the end, we started to sell it. So we sold everything. And that was the first time we were financially secure. After working for 20 odd years in Australia, we were never short. We lived a great life.
Yeah.
But here was the opportunity to take our love and our passion and cash in a bit. And we sold base Swiss out. And it was a sad day, but a happy day. We got reward for really hard work. And, you know, subsequently, I went through to Lendlease. That Paul is running another wonderful business and did the cooking book with you. And we're happy.
So Paul is now running Field to Fork, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, and the most outstanding butcher in Sydney. They're in Vaucluse, around the corner from me, which is so convenient, and also in Bondi.
Yeah.
And are you involved with that business?
I'm sneakily behind the scenes because I can't really be a director or a shareholder because I work for Lendlease, but I don't do much. I just offer a little bit of advice, taste the food, take as much meat as I like, which is the best. But I think that business is going to grow and grow enormously over the next year. So one of the things I've got my heart set on is after Lendlease, growing the biltong business and growing her brand alongside her. She's a wonderful businesswoman and looking forward to doing it afterwards.
Fantastic. All right. So let's talk now about what we're cooking today. I've given you a little outline. And please remember, you can type anything you want to ask Gaz about him, about his life, about his cooking, and he'll answer, I hope. So please just type your questions in the chat as we go. Gaz, I'll let you talk and I'll let you cook.
All right. So what we're going to make today, I love veal. And if I just grab this veal here, this comes from the Field to Fork butcher, which Lisa mentioned. It's a veal cutlet. So just ask for a veal cutlet. Low in fat, obviously milk fed. So it's still beautiful in color, nice and pink. I've got 2 cutlets today. They've actually been rolled by the butcher with some string. So we'll just remove that. And what we're going to do, we're going to flatten these out because we're going to make one into scallopine or limone, which is a classic Italian version of veal, which is beautiful because it's subtle, the veal's soft. You got a little bit of acid from the lemon, you got a little bit of white wine through it, and a little bit of stock. And it thickens up because you douse it in flour before you fry it. That's going to be veal limon. Then the second one we're going to do, we're going to flatten that and show you how to flatten it, is we're going to do, you know, another very big favorite of mine, which is veal cotteletto, Italian. You've all tasted it. It comes in various ways, but I love it on the bone, flattened, doused in flour, egg, and I've got breadcrumbs, but mixed with Parmigiano and fresh oregano today from the garden. Nice. And we'll have 2 different types. And then I'll finish that with an olive oil or butter, depending if I'm allowed to use butter. Just over the top with a little bit of lemon and butter and capers for the cotteletto and the veal limone. So I'm just going to flatten these 2 veals here. Just to get started.
See that?
So we're just doing a little bit of butchery. Just going to flatten them out. I'm not going to go too thin because otherwise the veal breaks up. Absolutely. You can't do this after butcher to flatten on the bone.
What I find happens if you don't flatten them when you're cooking is that they always shrink up when they cook and you end up with really thick pieces of veal and you can't get the right level of brownness on the outside and cook through on the inside. So they do need to be flattened on, let him keep hammering.
Right, so we've hammered them nicely. They're pretty thin, nice and beautiful. We're going to run the one through the mix, which is flour to start always.
So he's dipping it in flour now.
Then we'll just drop it through the egg, as you can see there. Make sure you coat it all over, get it through.
Is there any seasoning in that?
Not yet, no.
Okay, good to know.
And then I've cheated a bit, Lisa, as you know. It's got Parmigiano. I don't use fresh Parmigiano here. I use the crumb Parmigiano. And then you can see the fresh oregano, lots of salt and pepper, and panko breadcrumbs. For those of you in Toronto, it's really the same breadcrumb that you use when you go to the Japanese restaurants and you get tempura. It's almost like a tempura breadcrumb. It's a bit firmer. It's not like matzah, so don't use matzah meal. Get a very good quality breadcrumb through it, and have a look how delicious. I can smell it from here.
It looks great.
Got the breadcrumb, you got the oregano. Have a look at that.
And if you're not keen on cheese and meat together, just leave the Parmigiano out from that step.
The limone, just going to get flour. And you might say, why flour? Well, the flour is needed, which will stick all the beautiful flavors from the veal to the pan. So when we throw the Chardonnay, a touch of white wine, and the stock to it, that's where you get your flavors out, because this will scrape the bottom of the pan. And Lisa, what we've got going here as well, I'll just wash my hands while I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
These are earlier made, so really good homemade chips. I just want to show everybody how easy they are. These come from a pretty big potato, and I twice cook them or 3 times cook them. Heston Blumenthal believes in 3 times cooked. It's nonsense. You don't need twice is good enough. You take your potato, cut it into nice thick chunks, and put it into cold water. Let it come to the boil, and when it's simmering, take them out. It must be nice and soft. You can taste it. You can feel that piece. And then this I'm going to dip into really hot oil, and we're going to have the best chips you've ever eaten. Homemade chips, instead of mashed potato, instead of any other potato dish, with schnitzel, or otherwise known as veal cotoletta, is absolutely the most delicious thing.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do. So on the left-hand side, we've got our hot oil, you can see that, and then we've got our 2 pans going here. And our pans we're going to use just a nice quality olive oil. You don't need virgin, and we're not going to get them smoking hot. So turn them off the heat now.
So he's putting quite a liberal slug into each pan. Quite liberal.
Yeah, and for the cotoletta, I'd really like to use a little bit of butter with my oil, if that's okay.
Yes, you can do that.
This is pepper butter, which is pretty famous butter here in Australia. Delicious butter.
Yeah, for those of you if you haven't tried it, they actually do sell it at Field
Yeah, it's a really good quality butter.
Saya, it is the most delicious butter there. Salted butter on bread is outstanding.
And Lisa, as you know, if you mix butter with a touch of olive oil, it won't burn. If you don't have the olive oil in, it reaches ridiculous temperatures and the butter goes brown. That's just going, I'm just going to turn down for a moment. So that's going only in the cotoletta, and the veal and mune will do next, because we don't want that to cook before a cotoletta. Put that oil around in the pan, it's starting to get nice color there, Lisa. I'm going to drop that in and leave that over, I'm going to flatten it. And on this side here, I'm nearly ready for our veal scallopini, but not yet. So we'll just do that. Our oil now is nearly smoking. I can tell oil from seeing the color of the smoke coming off. When it gets really, really dark, it's at 180 degrees. At the moment, we're probably talking at 130. I need to get it to 180. My potatoes are soft. I pulled the starch out of them. I drop them in, they're going to be crisp. Got to time them. We've got our platter ready. Always have your platter ready so you don't panic at the end. And I've decided in my head, I'm a conceptual cook. Most really good chefs know exactly what the plate's going to look like before they've done it. And now I'm going to put my cotoletta here, and my scallopini on this side, and my chips in the middle. So I'm going to separate out the flavors. So I've got my lemon wedges, and one's got capers. So that's why I've got my platter ready.
Who's coming to join us for lunch? I'm sure everybody wants to. I feel very lucky. So please type in any questions you've got while we're cooking. Would love to hear from you.
All right, Lisa, it's probably time now to start our veal limone. So
that is a very hot pan, and the oil is smoking.
Got to do that. You want color. You don't want to leave the veal that's just pale in color. I love it with a bit of color. I haven't put any butter, I've just got oil. And I'm just going to push it down on the pan like that. Don't do this if you don't know how to do it. It just will get the pan to stick, the oil to stick to the meat. And our cotoletta here is going beautifully. Have a look at this.
That looks amazing.
So I'll bring it to the viewers. So we've got a nice brown color on that side. We're going to turn it over and do the other side.
No, he's not afraid of heat and oil and really taking it to the edge, which is what you've got to do.
I don't know if the viewers can see this. Ladies, gentlemen out there, our oil is not smoking. It's 180 degrees. Never put more than a third oil in a pan because oil expands and it could flow over. So it's a third deep. Now I'm just going to drop a couple of chips in to make sure that I'm telling you the truth that I am.
Guys, can you just repeat again what you did with the chips, please?
Sure.
Yeah.
What I did was I cut them, Lisa, and after cutting, I was going to mix the chips around. So chips have got a carbohydrate inside any potato. So you peel a potato, you wash it straight away. That will remove some of the carbohydrate. You either fry it in very, very lightly warm hot oil, but not more than 130 degrees to remove the first amount of carbohydrate, or you boil it like I did. I get it quite soft, the potato. All the carbs are out of it. Not mashed potato, just firm, but the carbs have been leached. I throw them into cold water, and I either put them in the fridge till I'm ready to cook like these, or then I just drop them in hot oil.
Thank you. It's a really good tip. Okay, next it says, can you use Nuttalex instead of butter? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Okay, what oil are you using? Kim wants to know what oil are you using?
I'm using canola oil, sir.
He's using canola oil. To fry?
Yeah, for fry.
For the veal. Or for the chips?
Canola oil, and I'm using olive oil.
Oh, yeah. So
I only use olive oil.
Yeah, canola for the chips and olive oil for the veal. No, did you put the potatoes into the water and bring it to the boil?
Yeah, let's do that again.
Yeah.
So 2 ways to cook your chips. You either cut them raw and put them into oil 3 times. First oil is at about 130 degrees. So just to get a bit of carbohydrate out of them, cool them down. Once they cool, you put them into hot oil at about 150. They'll start to get brown. You need to cook them 3 times to get them crisp. Or you do it the way I've been taught. We pre-boil them for about 10-15 minutes.
Sorry, you peel it and then boil it.
Yeah,
Yep.
peel it and boil it. So
Whole. Like whole, before you cut them into chips.
That's what your potato looks like when I've peeled it, and that's the chip I get out of it. And then put that into water, and for about 10 to 15 minutes, I just simmer it till it's getting soft.
So you don't cook the potatoes whole.
No, I cook them in chips.
Take that back. Okay, so cut them into chips, peels them, rinses them underwater, cuts it into chips, and then boils the potato chips for how long? How long are you boiling them for?
I'm going to boil it for about 15 minutes to the top.
The potatoes, these, but when you do them in the water? 15 minutes?
Simmer.
Into cold water?
Or into cold water and let them sit.
Into cold water. Good question, what type of potatoes are you using?
I'm using brown potatoes here in Australia.
The dirty ones?
The dirty ones.
Yeah, the brush potatoes, the dirty ones.
Okay,
interesting.
Now, every cook needs to be able to make changes as you go, never panic. My oil wasn't quite hot enough, so I'm going to do a 3 times Heston chip, which always works better, but I normally don't. So I've taken my chips out. I'm going to show you what they look like. Most people would love that. It's absolutely golden brown. For me, I want them crunchier. Look at that, that's perfect. You're going to cook through. It's a nice chip. It's what you find in the fish and chip shops. Yeah. We're going to get that whole oil back to 180, and we're going to drop it in one last time. Okay, so we're going to now take 2 things we're going to do. We're going to take our cut it off. A little bit pink. It's beautiful in the middle. You don't want to look too good. And we're going to set our cotoletta over here.
I'm just going to show everybody. It looks really good. And I can smell, breadcrumbs and toasting and butter. It smells very good in this kitchen.
And that one there, you can show the view, is our scallopine to start.
So that's the one that was just floured.
Okay, then. For our scallopine, we're going to drop in 2 things. First thing we're going to do, we always deglaze the pan with white wine. So don't get shocked now if you see. We're going to get all those flavors out. Put enough in it so it can be starting to bubble. We get that happen, get the alcohol out of the pan. A touch of chicken stock. Let that reduce right down. And at the end, we'll add our lemon. And that'll be our veal limuna. On the other side, we've got our pan juices. And this will be now, I'm going to drop in a little bit more butter. And then I'm going to add my capers and lemon. So the 2 are going to be quite different. Capers, not a big lemon over the cotoletta, but the veal limuna is big, strong lemon flavors.
Sounds good. Who's getting hungry? And are these recipes that you just thought of yourself?
They adapted from famous limuna recipes.
Yeah.
You look up a little bit more butter in this pan now, Lisa.
I love his use of butter. It's very good.
Got some capers over here. We've got the capers in. 2 lemons, or 2 halves of a lemon. Squeeze those in. Throw your pan around. Take it off the heat. The first sauce is ready. The next one's still reducing a little bit. It's nearly ready. So you can see how all the flavors are coming through now. You see it's all coagulating. And slowly here, our hot oil is going to be ready for the last fry. So our veal's sitting beautifully over here. Only put our sauce on at the end.
Okay. Taste. Well, I think always taste. You agree? You've always got to taste. Yeah.
A little bit of salt over our veal to start over here. Add some black pepper.
He's salting and peppering the, yeah. I have to move this. Sorry.
Chips are going in, Lisa, for the final fry.
That is bubbling like mad.
Beautiful.
Okay. I don't know how you actually cut chips like that. They're so perfectly cut.
So there's our veal cotoletta sauce going over the top. Oh, and I've held back on the table. You don't need the more. Look at that.
Okay, I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring the plate over so you can see that. So he's just poured that butter caper sauce over the veal. It looks and smells wonderful. And lemon, of course, it's quite lemony smell. And now he's going to do the other sauce, which is going to come on the other side.
Now comes our veal limone sauce. Hold the pan there for me, Lise. And I'll show you what you need to do. You just pour that limone sauce over it. Beautiful. So hold it over there. And then always finish veal limone with parsley. Beautiful. And then our chips are cooking here. We're nearly ready for lunch, Lise.
So there's the two veals. Looks pretty good. And it's taken, what, 10 minutes? It's very quick.
But I'm a little bit crazy in the kitchen. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So we've got a bit quicker today than normal, Lisa. Here are your chips. Now have a look. So these now are going, have a look how beautiful they're going.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Let's go. We've got time for them.
If we've got time, I'll show them how to cut up the potato.
I think we do. I mean, I would like to see how he cuts the potato into those perfect chips that look like they're from a packet, actually. Is the cotletto a bit pink in the middle?
Yes.
Yes.
If you can whack it through and get it really, really thin, but I prefer it pink. It dries out for me otherwise. In Italy, they serve it pretty pink.
Yeah. Okay, so that's lovely.
There we go.
We've got plenty of time to get them golden if you want to really.
I think these are good.
Okay, all right. I'm someone who likes the chips really, really, really dark. I don't know about all of you, but they're my favorites. And it's really funny. My kids know that. So whenever we've got chips on the table at a restaurant or whatever, they'll just pass me the little.
So are you happy with that colour or you want darker?
It's not up to me.
That is, it's both of us. Should I put some in for you that are very, very dark?
No, I'm happy. They look lovely.
Yeah. So with that, Lisa, always, and I wouldn't use a rock salt in that. I like it. A grinder, my salt on top.
Yeah, yeah.
So it gets all over it. And what we're going to do right now, before we do anything else, is what we're about to do in the kitchen. I'm bringing you a chip that's golden brown and show everybody how delicious it looks. And let's just have a taste.
You see that?
Crisp on the outside and fluffy on the inside.
Mm.
I mean, that's like, I could eat this with vinegar all day long.
You know, you go somewhere and you have a chip and you say, that is the sort of chip I love. This is it's so crisp on the outside and so fluffy on the inside. And normal chips at home don't taste like this. He's done a really good job.
But what we're going to do is we're going to write up all these recipes.
Okay.
What we're going to do, we're going to write down exactly how the steps we did so that you can share it with everybody.
Yeah. So Gaz is going to write down the recipes if you didn't hear that, and we're going to put it on the Dinero website so you can access it at any time. This looks really good.
That's it.
Making it perfect. Can I bring it over here while you're making it perfect? It looks really nice, smells really good. I'd be very happy with this for dinner any day of the week.
Lemon wedge on top of it, both of them, and we're done. Lunch is served.
Well done, guys. That's fantastic. We'll just set that aside.
Yeah, let's set that aside.
We'll have a little chat.
Okay, let's just do the, do you want to get the potato?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love you to show the potato. It's quite a skill to cut them like that. I mean, they look like, I mean, if someone served those to me, I'd think that they were from the freezer, actually.
So.
All right. Yeah, Kathy said she's coming. Well, you know where we are, Kathy?
Beautiful.
Pop in. Seriously, come on over. All right, so I don't know how. I'm gonna, that one that you just had it 1 second. Oh, that one. Yeah.
So there's my knife. So all I've done there is I've just peeled a dirty potato. I haven't even washed it. Now I might can you see that? Okay.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is, this is a decent sized potato. I'm just going to trim each end off, just like that. And then I look at this potato and I say to myself, looks like a 3-cut potato. Again, you've got to know what you're doing. So I'm going to do my first cut through there, might be 4. 1. Then the width of that chip that I did there is my next width, but I know how to do it. So I'll put that back because we're going to have that for lunch. And I cut my next one about that size. And then the next one about that size again. And then the end is going to be wasted. Okay? Because we don't need that. I'm going to swing it around and I'm going to cut the end off. You don't have to throw it in the bin. You can give a mashed potato for the kids if you wanted to. And I'm just going to tidy up that side as well. Then I'm going to flick it on that side. So I'm going to turn it. So we've trimmed the edges, all sides. We've got it very square. And then I'm going to make my chips. Down 1, 2, exactly the same size chips. You see that?
Fantastic. Yeah. Very good.
So if anybody wants to come, we can make these as well.
I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. Okay. So everything's done. Lunch is made. All in what, 15 minutes?
Well,
very good.
Should we taste it a little?
I think, I think we should have a little taste. We'll just drop it here in the middle.
Let's grab that. Put that over there. That was 2 fork sillies. So as I said, the pot litter is definitely going to be a bit pink. But it should be absolutely delicious.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's perfect.
I love this cut of veal and I love the bone. Are you the bone person?
Oh, we'll do everything with the bone.
It's the best. Oh, I could eat
that in
that
the sauce.
All right. So my piece, dipping it in the sauce.
Oh.
So good.
So good. So soft, so tender. Flavors are there, the lemons there, the capers are there, and it's crisp. Delicious.
The meat is so tender inside, and those golden toasty breadcrumbs on the outside.
And the
love
cheese a little bit, eh?
Love
and
it,
oregano.
love it.
So let's
Really
taste
good.
this in contrast, because what this is going to have, this is just going to be pure veal limone flavor. It's going to be just veal and lemon, and it's going to be quite tarty. But that's how we like our veal limone.
It's nice to have both options, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they're both delicious. Try that, leaves.
Thank you. Because I guess you don't want to crumb and fry every night of the week.
No, this is quite healthy, actually. Kids would love it.
Yeah. So different.
I'd put a bit more black pepper on that and a touch more salt.
The meat is really tender, yet it's sort of like got a little bit of a char on the outside,
Exactly.
which makes it really lovely to eat. And it's got a very subtle lemon flavour with a hint of the wine.
Yes, exactly.
It's very good.
Yeah.
It goes very well with a nice glass of white wine, I think. Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be
have a little
lovely.
bit of this one.
This is beautiful. And the chips, well, now that they're a bit cooler, I guess I should try one. Oh, really good. Let me show you what we're eating.
Chablis, this one?
Now, this is it again. And I guess it's really too early for wine, I think. No, it's too early, isn't it?
No, it's not. 6 o'clock in
All right,
Toronto.
not too early. Okay, so I just while we're going to have a glass of wine, yeah, did you see, Naomi, could you see the things that we're eating? So I'm going to lift this up just so you can see again. This is the beautiful veal cotoletta with the capers and lemon. And this is the other veal limone, which is just a veal, I won't say just, it's a veal
chop
on the bone, which has been flattened, floured, fried in a bit of oil, shallow fried, and then he made a sauce with chicken stock, wine, and lemon.
That's it. And
we're going to give you the recipe. So let's have a cheers before we go on to a few more questions. Because I do have a few more things I'd like to ask you guys. Cheers, everyone. This is actually becoming too regular that I'm coming on here and drinking alcohol at 11 o'clock on a Thursday, but maybe we'll change the name of the hour.
And what you can also do, if you don't want to fry that,
that's lovely.
If you don't want to grill that veal chop in the pan, you can do the barbecue.
You do that on the barbecue?
You just do the lemon sauce separately. Yeah.
And you've got to be careful with veal, though, not to overcook it, right?
100%. Got to be a little bit pink.
Yeah. So I could just sit down and eat the rest of the chips, but I won't, because I actually want to ask Gaz a few more questions. So when you come here to his house, when he cooks for you, you just cannot believe what he makes, like the hugest side of beef that he's doing, or his baby chickens on the barbecue, which is probably one of his most famous dishes. I'd really love to know from you, what would you say is your #1 dish? over the years that you make the best, that people know you for?
Well, that's a good question. Well, we curry lovers in this house, funny enough. Paula's parents came from Durban, where there's a big Indian population where they learn curry. So her mum taught me a bit of curry. But I find if you get the curry right, it's a lingering meal. People go back 2 or 3 times. I'm going to come back to another one that I'm happy with. So that's one. That's a family favorite. It's a Shabbos favorite. But I can do curry I can do all the Thai curries. I can do green curries, red curries. And then I can also do the Indian curries, and I can do dry curries. So curries for me have been a passion all my life. But let's leave curry aside. There's a dish that Lisa and I absolutely love. Not everybody loves. It's called Cioppino. Because that's a meal you can eat for an hour.
Yeah, I love it.
So it's a saffron broth. If you look it up, Cioppino, Cioppino. It's a poor man's bouillabaisse. So it's everything in the shell. So it starts off, it's not a kosher dish, but sometimes you don't have to be kosher. It's delicious. It's got white wine, saffron broth, and then you slowly put the crab in it, the prawn in it, the shellfish in it, and it's a famous dish that you eat in San Francisco. I love Cioppino.
And he makes it very, very well. And if you don't eat any of that stuff, you could actually use the base of it and just put fish in it and make it a beautiful fish soup. Yeah.
But Lisa, it's such a hard question because life's too short to eat one dish.
No, it's true. It's true. Somebody just said, can Gary do a barbecue demo? I'm actually thinking this is like the warm-up. He doesn't know it yet, but I think that he needs to come on.
But I need your husband, or whoever does the barbecue, they need to be on it.
I think we need him to do a few sessions on his own of cooking classes. I'm sure that, I think there won't even be an answer. Everyone's going to say yes, of course, because he's fantastic.
All wants a piece.
But you should, yeah, absolutely. So you should see this man on the barbecue. So I'd like to. So it's hard to say your number one dish.
Well, if you and I were sitting here, we'd probably eat roast duck. We eat your duck. We'd eat your beautiful, we might. Or we might have some liver. Or,
and he's not, the thing is that, I don't know about all of you who cook if you have visitors over, you're sometimes afraid to do this or you're too scared to do that. This man is not afraid of anything in the kitchen. And that's what I love most about the way you cook. He'll tackle any task. You say to him, I wish we could eat, what's something out of, what's that French dish, the cassoulet. Okay, you might say, I feel like a cassoulet today. So he'll say, okay, come over tomorrow. He'll research it. He'll go away. He'll come back. He'll have confit the duck. He will have found the right sausage, and he will make you right. This is the man who does this. Okay, so I want to know, in your life, cooking-wise, any regrets, career and cooking-wise, like any major regrets?
Yeah, it's a regret today, but hopefully it doesn't become a regret. I want to be standing in the kitchen of a 80 or 100 seat Gaz's brasserie, and I want to be cooking the 20 famous dishes that I've eaten all over the world. That is a regret, and if I don't do that before I die, I won't die happy.
Do you think you can do it?
I will do it, and I won't do it. I won't do it for the money, although it'll pay a few bills. But I want to do it because I love the expression on people's faces when they're thankful for what you've cooked, and it's such a good place to be with your friends. And I would cook. Those dishes I spoke about, I do different the curries. I've got wonderful Italian boschiolo or, truffle pastas I can do. I'd love to do a nice duck on there. And I probably do a duck curry from time to time. I'd throw some of my South African specialties, like an oxtail occasionally. I'd come back to fish. I love to grill snappers, or I can do whole ling, or I can do, which we did the other night, which we shouldn't do, but we did a lobster thermidor, which is an old classic. And then on that recipe as well, you can do all your grills, your steaks. So 20 dishes, the best I've had and continue to change, from restaurants that I've absolutely admired over the world. So like a Balthazar steak frites with the burnos, I do that. Not these chips, the thin chips. I would bring in dishes that I've eaten in London at some of those famous Italian restaurants where they do the ossobuco on the double bone. So it's not a thin ossobuco, it's a double ossobuco. Have you had that before in London?
No, I haven't.
And then what we'd do, Lisa, we'd get you to come and do the pastries. I can't do dessert. Desserts I can do, but I'm not that addicted to dessert. Never grew up on it. So I can bake, but I can do good scones. But that's a dream for me. That's a regret.
I can actually imagine it with you in the middle of the restaurant.
Yes.
Like when you come over here for lunch, he's in the kitchen and he's just cooking and tasting and bringing you in, come and taste and come and eat this. That's what you've got to do if you're going to do the restaurant. You're part of it. It's not just your food, it's your personality and the warmth that you bring, I think, that would make it great. Okay, next question. Kitchen disasters.
That's a good question. The only disaster I had when I was 19 years old, and I was working in London, and I was promoted from commie chef, which is where you're just allowed to peel potatoes and cut carrots, to being a commie waiter. So it was 6 months the kitchen and 6 months in the Capital Hotel in the front of the house. It's only a big disaster I've had in my whole life, and I'll never forget it. Sometimes I wake up in a sweat spot. And we were this Capital Hotel, which I don't know if anybody's been. It's in Basil Street, just near Harrods. Get past. Got an amazing restaurant, and the after meal service was terrific. They had a cigar trolley, and I was I'd served. I was actually allowed only serve plates and take off, not allowed to chat to the guests or whatever. And everybody had left. The maitre d' had left, and it was just myself, just one or two tables. And this gentleman in the corner in a tweed jacket, a bit of a beard, said, "Excuse me, young man." And I looked and said, "Bring me the cigar trolley." I looked around, I thought, we must be speaking to me. There's no one else in the restaurant. And I went along and I wheeled the cigar trolley up. In those days, you could smoke in the restaurants. We're talking 1979, 1980. And he said, "I'll have that one." And he put it to a long Churchill, but that long. And he said, "Clip it for me, young man." I'd never seen a cigar coming from South Africa, and I didn't know how to clip it, but I saw things that looked like clippers. So I took it and I clipped it in half. It was an outcry. I nearly got fired. I had to refund the whole meal because it had been such a disaster. And it remains my biggest regret. Rather ask if you don't know.
No, but nothing here. Lucky you.
No, I haven't had any issues here. I've been lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, the only regret is not a regret, right? I don't know if you remember when Noma came to Australia,
Yes,
and I cooked for him in the kitchen.
Yes.
And I tried to do 12 dishes like he does 12 dishes.
So this is Rene Redzepi, the #1 chef in the world over the last few years, came to Australia with Noma and did a pop-up at Barangaroo. Yeah.
And he came into this very kitchen. And I said, "Come and experience the Australian barbecue," and thought I'd get clever. Instead of just doing some nice steaks and things, I started off by doing beautiful langoustine on the barbecue. And then I did oysters 3 ways. And then I did, prawns. I was silly. I tried to emulate how he cooks, and no one can cook like he cooks. You should go there if you've ever been to Noma. It's astonishing. You've probably been. It's like a bulla in those restaurants where it's 12 courses. That's not my style. But that's probably a little regret that I didn't do 2 things.
Yeah, no, I guess it's a lesson, and it's a good one. And I think the home cook also can use that lesson. I use it when we have visitors, not to try to fancy things up to impress people, just cook what you're good at.
Absolutely.
So have you got some advice for the home cooks out there?
Just test it. Don't ever try and do a recipe the first time at a dinner party. It's not worth it. It's too much panic. You don't know where everything is. But if you've cooked something before and something goes sort of wrong along the way, you know how to get it back because you know what the end product looks like. So my advice to you is, if you want to make this for a dinner party, just grab a couple of cutlets, find an hour or 2. We'll have the recipe from us, and then just practice it. And you'll tell along the way, how to do it, and it becomes quite natural even when you panic. It's like, it's just it comes. So that's how I've always done it. At least, like I would never go and do. I've made probably in my life 50 beef Wellingtons, but I would never take on a beef Wellington for the first time, because to get the pastry right, to get the pate right, to know how to do it for half an hour and how it can bugger up. But now I can do it. But you have to practice those intricate dishes.
I'd love a beef Wellington.
Oh, make it beautiful.
Do we want a beef Wellington lesson? That'd be nice. I think
so posh.
I remember my mum used to do it for dinner parties back in the 70s.
And you have to do the olives, right, which you put through the grinder and you make them very, very fine. And you rub that on the outside. Then you can do pate if you like pate. A lot of people don't. And then you just wrap it in the pastry, and it's golden brown, so it's always served medium rare to rare. And cut it in thick chunks with a nice gravy.
Sounds good. You can see why I love being friends with this man.
And I love Lisa.
His love of food is up there. I don't think I know anyone who loves eating, talking about food and cooking as much as this man.
The chips.
No, I'm trying to talk and I can't eat and talk. It's too hard. It's too much for me to do. So I'd love some questions. If anyone's got any questions for Gaz, he would be happy to ask him anything. He'll answer absolutely anything you want to ask him, I promise you. Come on, guys. Any questions? I can see a question there. Let me just see what that is. Oh, yes, Eve. Eve, yes, the recipe ingredients will be posted. Absolutely. Any more questions? Come on, guys. Because if there's no more questions, I am going to then start wrapping it up. But we'd love some. There must be something you want to ask.
Funny, I did a session in America last night where questions came at the end. There were 250 people on the call, and some of them I looked at the question and everybody could see the questions. I couldn't answer them, so I said, I'm not taking that question or that question. It's too hard. But yeah, nobody's given us a hard question.
He's been up since what, 12:30? He's been up since midnight because he's doing San Francisco time. It must be hard.
That's okay. I feel this has come naturally to me. I'd rather be here than on a podcast or talking to some people in America.
So I'm going to use this opportunity to thank you so much, Gary, for giving us your time and your veal and your part today. Like, it's been really wonderful to be here, and I would like to talk to you when we finish this about possibly doing a couple more cooking demos. I mean,
Absolutely.
I think a barbecue one for the barbecuers would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, thanks, Venetia. She says she's been cooking for 50 years and still learned something. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Ian. Nice to see you here. So thank you, Gary, and thank you all for joining us. I just want to give a quick reminder. Go to the Danera website, danera.org.au, which I'm sure you all know by now, and check out the amazing array of things that are on offer just in the next week. From a food perspective, we have two great things coming up. One is we've got on Monday morning, actually a Monday morning cooking club event where the four of us from the Monday morning cooking club are going to make the best butter cake in the world, and we're going to talk all about it. So come along on Monday at 11, and then the following Thursday, like in 1 week, Mel Donport is going to be doing a fantastic workshop on poaching and stewing, or poaching versus stewing, as she likes to say. She'll tell you the difference and help you out with your winter fruit. So please sign up for those events. They will be great. And please give us your feedback. Did you like today's event? Would you like to see more of people like Gary? I think so, and more of Gary for sure. Thank you all. If there's nothing else and no more questions, I'm going to sign off. And it's been really fun. I'm going to go now and sit down with Gaz and have a glass of wine and finish all these chips.
And I'm going to say, thank Lisa. Continue doing the good work, and
Thanks,
continue
Gaz.
following Lisa.
Thanks.
Doing an amazing work for the community and all of you.
Bye all.
Bye all.